Hello everybody, welcome back to the BBC Arts website, and we're here on Tyneside for the Great Exhibition of the North. It officially opened 2 hours ago, and I don't know if you can hear what's going on outside, but the carnival spirit is really starting to rev up. People are starting to arrive in their droves for what promises to be a one-off amazing night. Now, if you can see behind me, we're on the Newcastle side. Behind me, you can see the Sage Gateshead over the Tyne, and in the distance, the world-famous Tyne Bridge, and all glistening in the sunshine. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful day. Now, tonight is going to be unbelievable. There's going to be a huge launch on the Tyne with fountains and fireworks and performances and music. It's going to be spectacular. There'll be 20,000 people lining the streets. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And one of the main performers who's going to be at the centre of it all is with me now, singer and frontman of Maximo Park, Paul Smith. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
And I know you had a late night last night because you were rehearsing. I'll ask you about that in a minute. But hey, what do you think about all this then?
Well, it's a nice day for a start. I mean, I got a taxi down here and I said, I'm going to the quayside, and the guy said, you're going to get nowhere near it. There's thousands of people already down there. They've shut all the roads. And so the kind of the magnitude of the event started to hit me. Obviously, we did a dress rehearsal last night, and so I knew the kind of technical aspects of it, where we float down the river and there's the fountain going off with our newly commissioned piece of music, all those kind of component parts. I was thinking, wow, this is amazing. But then the actual knowing that there's thousands of people there watching you just raises the bar a little.
Well, suddenly you can feel the atmosphere change, can't you, in the city? People are starting to get excited. They can see things happening, and you haven't actually had to come very far, have you?
No, I'm living locally, so for me it was just 15 minutes and I'm into the madness.
Into the nerve centre.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to you then? Because you're from Teesside and now you live on Tyneside.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to have an exhibition like this on your very doorstep?
Well, I mean, it shines a light on the things that are happening here that are really good and creative. Having grown up in the region, you feel a little bit like you're in the shadows, a little bit divorced from some of the other things that are going on a national level. Obviously, media is based in London for the most part. Obviously, we now have the BBC in Manchester, for example. I've been to do a few things there, and there's lots of interesting new things going on there. But the Northeast is just a little bit out of the way, and there's something kind of idiosyncratic about some of the things that are produced here. So it's nice to have a national spotlight on them and to showcase what we're all about.
But as a northern musician, you never left this area, did you? And a lot of people in your position have gone down to London to seek their fame and fortune, but you stayed rooted here. So does this give you some sort of vindication?
A little bit. I mean, it's nice, you know, obviously we got the call to come and headline, and we got the call to have a song performed with the orchestra, a brand new song, and lots of other. I've got a lot of involvement with the festival, but I think I looked around at all the kind of Northeast artists, and one of the things that I'm involved in is over at the Baltic, at the Idea of North exhibition, and it talks about musicians and what happened when we first started making music here. And I realised that most of the other people have gone, new acts who are coming through, who are really good, who are seen as Northeast artists. They're plying their trade in London to try and get that national and international acclaim, and we're lucky as well that we've had that without going. But I feel vindicated that you can do it here, and I wouldn't say that our music is an example to anybody. I'd rather, if somebody was inspired by us, I would rather they were inspired to do their own thing, which is what we've always tried to do. But you can say to yourself, oh well, if they've had however many top 20 records and they live in Newcastle and have stayed here, then why can't we? Exactly,
you don't need to move, that's basically what you're saying. But you were just mentioning before, you do have your fingers, I should say, in an awful lot of pies.
Yeah.
We've got to mention the word pies because this is Northern exhibition. But you have your finger in a lot of pies across the whole of this festival, haven't you?
Yeah, obviously we've got the big launch tonight. As soon as we finish playing at about 10:20, the huge fountain will go off, and we've had a new song commissioned which has been synced up to that fountain. So people in Morecambe, again in the north, have designed this synchronized display. We've collaborated with the Royal Northern Sinfonia, and the song itself, North by Northeast, is about the area, and it's interesting to kind of look back at growing up here as an adopted Geordie, I suppose, and being at university here and going back home to Teesside. And the song is this kind of more of a nostalgic song than I think we've ever done, but that's obviously the opportunity that we were afforded by the Great Exhibition, saying, can you write a song about the North and we can give you the orchestra? So it was a good opportunity for us. Obviously those are two main things. I'm also doing a disco for kids and their families, because obviously a lot of kid related activities are not necessarily for the adults.
Well, this is the parental guidance party,
That's
isn't it?
right.
That you talk about? And I guess you have a vested interest now that you have a little one of your own.
Yeah, so I've been to baby groups where I'm thinking, oh, when's this going to stop? At least my daughter's enjoying it. But then there's a local, again, bigging up the local people, there's an organisation called Chalk who put on things that are both kid and adult friendly things. So they'll have baby raves where the babies can dress up and have glow sticks and whatever, and all that kind of thing. And so I think it's an extension of that kind of idea. I'll be in the concourse at the Sage on July the 1st, playing records for a couple of hours at 10:30 on a Sunday morning. And later that day, things get a bit more adult. And I've got not too adult. I'm
glad you said that.
Just caution. But I'm doing a brand new set of music with Rachel Unthank from the Unthanks, who is somebody that I've loved her voice for a long time, and I've loved a lot of traditional and folk music. And so I wanted to kind of delve into some of the region. Northumberland, Tees, there's a great singer-songwriter called Graham Miles from Teesside who wrote some really great songs, Great Northern River. And so we're going to do one of his songs, and there's a couple of songs that I've written that are a little bit inspired by traditional music. And so for me, that's probably the main thing that I'm doing, because obviously as Maximo Park, we go and we play, but this is completely fish out of water, out of the comfort zone kind of stuff.
Well, you really have got your work cut out for you, haven't you, over the next few weeks? But tonight you're actually going to be playing on a boat going down the river. Have you ever done that before?
Yes.
On a moving boat?
Yes, but there was a roof on it, and it was one of the cruise liners that's parked up there somewhere, and we launched our first album on it. And we'd heard about stuff like the Sex Pistols having album launches or whatever on boats, and we thought, let's have a bit of rock and roll tradition, but bring it up here, do it on the Tyne. We signed our record contract on the Millennium Bridge there in 2004, and again brought the record company up here and that kind of thing. So
Blimey, you are keeping it real, aren't you?
I know. I feel like
goodness.
I'm Mr. Authenticity.
You really are.
But
well, you know what? You are. Maximo Park are hailed as a great band from the north, so I think it's only right and proper that we should ask you this question. What has the North ever done for music?
Well,
state your case, Paul.
Well,
you're in the dock.
I'm actually going to do another plug for another thing that's happening at the Great Exhibition of the North. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, I'm playing with Field Music.
Who are from Sunderland.
From Sunderland, and we're going to play in Hall 1 over there at the Sage, and we're going to do the Great Northern Songbook. And so you will be able to come and experience exactly why the North is such a great region for music, because people have actually used a hashtag on the internet, newfangled internet, and everybody's just said what kind of northern song they like. There's a big list, and Field Music have chosen all of the different songs in collaboration with some of the guest artists, myself and Catherine Williams, Voices of Virtue Gospel Choir, Ross from the Future Heads, we've got Pauline Murray from Penetration. So we're all going to sing, and Field Music are going to do a few songs, and they're the backing band. So it's essentially a fun karaoke-esque moment. And when I looked at the list, I was like, you know, this is a kind of vindication of what the North has done for music. I won't spoil any surprises, but it won't surprise people that somebody like Brian Ferry and Roxy Music get in there.
I did notice that Let's Get Ready to Rumble's on there, but we'll just brush over that.
We'll see
what happens. But tell me, what do you think defines music from the North then?
Well, that's a really difficult question, and it's something that I've had to wrestle with after we were commissioned to do a song, because I didn't want to do something that was cliched. I didn't want to do something that was chippy and tribal and we are the northern people, because that's something that I don't like about northern music, the fact that it's got this kind of male dominated laddie stereotype, which, you know, stems from something like Oasis, which, you know, has lots of good elements to it, you know, but there's another element to it where people kind of act in a more masculine way, and there's a kind of herd mentality sometimes when you see that kind of thing filtering down into society and into music. And for a long time, when after Oasis were rightfully successful with their, you know, brilliant popular songs, you had this kind of more diluted version of them. And it's the same with every era, you know, with the era when we first started, you know, there's a lot of kind of laddier bands out there. And I think for me, you know, what the North is in music is a kind of blend of romanticism and this post-industrial world, because I guess pop music became really a thing in the 60s. You know, before that it was very different, and
so it's evolving all the time. It's quite difficult to define, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And I think you know, obviously the North, people think of industry, but really we've been coping with what's left and where to go next. You obviously see the Sage Gateshead and you see the Baltic there, and the North has moved on, I think, and you want to try and convey that in what your idea of North is.
And what would you say is your favourite Northern anthem then?
Well, that's
I'm putting you on the spot
now. That is on the
Paul.
spot. That's on the spot. Before, I would have said something like "How Soon Is Now" by the Smiths, because I think it's got an incredible. It's kind of bleak, but it's beautiful and it's humane. But in recent times, Morrissey's been saying some fairly unpleasant things, some fairly right-wing things.
So who would you?
I'm going to replace it. Tough. It's too tough. But I'm going to go with Roxy Music.
Oh.
I'll go with More Than This, which
Classic.
is a very romantic
it's just a classic.
song.
Beautiful song. Okay, well, you know what, Paul? I know you've got so much to do. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Problem.
I know that you've got the thing tonight. You've got more things are coming on in the week. So I'm going to let you go. Get your sea legs ready for the big boat trip.
I don't want to fall
And
off.
before we go, I must say, love your socks.
Thank you.
Very nice touch. And yeah, so thanks for joining us on our lovely red sofa.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Cheers.
So that's it from me, but the BBC Arts webpage is going to be here all day, all night, your front row seats to the biggest art event of the year. And please stay logged on, please stay tuned in, because we're going to keep you up to date with all the action throughout the night. Thanks again to Paul Smith, who's going to be rocking on the Tyne in just a few hours from now. It's going to be amazing.